Bryan Danielson injured at the AEW Collision taping. Plus, a WWE star has been pulled from a title match, and multiple WWE stars are set to return this week. It's all in the Cultaholic wrestling news right now. Not the news we want to bring you with a guy that we love as much as our Bryan, but Bryan not looking particularly grand after the Collision tapings last night.
Yeah, this comes after a tweet was shared online of kind of the aftermath of his match in the Continental Classic between Bryan Danielson and Andrade El Idolo, and you can even just visibly see on the tweet there that his eye is in a pretty bad state.
So he's been wrestling with a broken orbital bone for a little while now. Metal Gear Solid vibes going on and all of that. But during this match, it's reported that a lot of Andrade El Idolo's offense was around the eye of Bryan Danielson.
Right.
At the end of the match, you see medics and the Blackpool Combat Club all coming out to check on Bryan Danielson, who is down in the ring. He's sort of sat up at one point and his eye looks terrible.
Yeah, it really
does.
Bad. Obviously, the match, I guess it's quite a. I mean, it's a risk you've got to take, but it kind of makes sense for an opponent of his to target the orbital bone. Mm-hmm. In fact, I'd suggest that if a wrestler known to be ruthless like Andrade is didn't target the orbital bone, people would go, well, that's not very realistic. So I get why they did that, but then at the same time, you do run the risk of something, I guess, like this happening, assuming that this. We don't know the full details yet, but assuming that this is legitimate.
I'd imagine the plan wasn't for his eye to start bleeding.
It looks, it was bleeding. It's obviously visibly very red and swollen, it looks like, as well. And it's just quite a shame because we know that he's been working through these injuries, and we know that he's been very open about the fact that this upcoming year is going to be his last full-time year as a wrestler on a regular schedule.
He's just going to sort of crumble to the finish line, isn't he? Like,
I know,
like Lightning McQueen at the end of that last race.
We don't know yet whether it's the sort of injury he can go on to work through, though, I suppose, going forward.
Well, that's it. We don't know in terms of what this will mean long term for Bryan Danielson, because he's been working with a broken orbital bone for a while now. This might be an injury that doesn't really mean he loses any ring time. He may patch it up and continue on with the Continental Classic. Part of me thinks, Jesus Christ, Bryan Danielson, just have a sleep, mate. Come on, we love you. Just chill out, man. It's all good. He's got a big showdown with Okada in the new year.
At Wrestle Kingdom,
Wrestle Kingdom. Have a sleep till then. Honestly, I know you're in the Continental Classic, but come on, let's sub in Claudio. You'll be fine.
And I think that's always, and totally they could definitely 100% do that. And I think everyone would be quite forgiving, because the risk you always run with these long round robin tournaments with various matches booked well in advance is that if you get injured, you've either got to rebook the tournament or try and work through it. But obviously that very much depends on how the wrestler's doing. And also, I think that Bryan himself, we know his sort of character, we know what he's like. He's going to be very reluctant to step out of the tournament, even if he really needs to. He was the one hyping up the tournament before it began, saying this is going to be the best tournament. Literally, this is going to be the best tournament ever. So he's probably quite frustrated right now, and I hope that he thinks long term, basically.
We'll keep you up to date on what happens next with Bryan Danielson. His Blackpool Combat Club teammate, Claudio Castagnoli, is on the Cultaholic podcast feed later today. I had a lovely chat with Claudio the other day. We talked about numerous things, including like the AEW locker room. We talked about how he really feels about teaming with Sheamus in WWE.
Okay.
And I get him to describe all the members of the Blackpool Combat Club as if they were coffee.
Is he a big coffee aficionado?
Big coffee man. So we cross the streams. That's later today. If you subscribe to the Cultaholic podcast feed, it's an exclusive on there. We send our best wishes to Bryan Danielson, as we do to NXT's Wes Lee. Last night, a very emotional Wes Lee on crutches revealed that he is in a lot of pain and is off to have back surgery, which means he has been pulled from his planned North American title match this Saturday at Deadline. This is devastating for Wesley, who the other week just went through all those former North American champions to earn this match.
Yes, Bronson Reed, Johnny Gargano, and Cameron Grimes in a very enjoyable main event of that week's episode of NXT. It was very much setting up this match against Dominic Mysterio. Wes has been very keen to get revenge and win back that North American Championship, and like you say, this is devastating for him. It's been revealed, since that he is set to miss 8 to 12 months of action as a result.
That pretty much rules him out for next year.
Yeah.
Completely, which is heartbreaking. Come back stronger.
Yes.
Back stronger. But Dirty Dom tried to get out of it. But the name on the contract does say Lee. But the name is Dragon Lee.
Dragon Lee, with his second major show substitute appearance, basically, after he stepped in for Carlito at Survivor Series War Games.
Dragon Lee is doing exactly the right thing and just proving he can be a jack of all trades,
yes.
pun intended.
Oh.
He can be whatever WWE needs him to be at any time. So now we're getting Dragon Lee versus Dirty Dom Mysterio for the North American title on Saturday at Deadline instead.
Always bring your wrestling gear. That's what they say, isn't it, to young wrestlers? Always bring your gear, even if you're just hanging out at the show. Card subject to change.
Jack's got his gear upstairs just in case.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I've got my knee pads.
And contrary to what they say on the podcast, I don't always bring my gear with me. Now, in terms of other, now we said goodbye to Wes Lee for a little while, but we welcomed back Nikita Lyons last night on NXT.
We did. There was a big brawl kicking off with all the entrants in the Women's Iron Survivor match. Blair Davenport was standing very villainously on the ramp, very smug and villainous, and then Nikita Lyons' music hit. You saw the look on Blair Davenport's face. Oh no! And she got taken out by a returning Nikita Lyons because it was Blair Davenport in storyline who was responsible for Lyons missing time with injury.
So that straight away we're getting Nikita Lyons back in there with Blair Davenport. Lyons looks great. Whacked her face off with a kick.
Yep.
We'll see more very soon. It's not the end of the returns planned for WWE. Did you scan the QR code last night on NXT? Did you scan it? If you did, you'd have heard Cora Jade saying, "See you at Deadline."
Well, that's very interesting indeed. We haven't seen her now for quite some time. I'm looking forward to seeing what she does when she comes back. I'm guessing it won't be to resume her feud with Roxanne Perez, just because she's already embroiled in quite an intense feud right now. You never know, though. There could be something during or after her match against Kiana James.
Well, the last time we saw her, it was against Dana Brooke, and Dana Brooke has since left the company. So I think it might be something brand new. I could see her getting straight back into the mix with the women's title picture, to be honest. I feel like they want to put that belt on her fairly soon.
Maybe, and I wonder, this is now total speculation on my part, but I wonder if she did ever win a title or get into a major feud or anything, whether they would then reference that famous meeting she had as a child with CM Punk at a meet and greet in Chicago. Oh, she was the little girl. There's that footage of Punk's signing table at a meet and greet, and a young Cora Jade's there with her dad, and her dad basically says to CM Punk, like, "Thank you so much. You've inspired her. She wants to be straight edge like you. She wants to follow a good path and everything." So
she can come out wearing a t-shirt that's got the meet and greet picture on, and it can lead to a really bloody dog collar match.
Yes, absolutely.
That's how these things go, isn't it?
You stupid old man. I'm a snake. I'm a jade.
I'm a jade snake.
Oh no.
Hey Jack, that's not the only return on the cards this week, is it? It's certainly not.
That's because Dave Meltzer.
Nailed it, mate.
That's because Dave Meltzer, professional presenter. That's because Dave Meltzer on Wrestling Observer Radio revealed that none other than the phenomenal one, AJ Styles, is returning to WWE this Friday on SmackDown after months of speculation about when his comeback might take place. Bit of a weird wrinkle to this story, though. He was originally scheduled to make his return kind of mid-November, but then that was scrapped. But nobody seems to know the reason why.
Yeah, it's still unknown to this point as well. And the talk is that he's going to get straight in the mix with Roman Reigns because it was the Bloodline that took him out in September. So, I mean, but then the landscape has changed a lot since he was last here. Obviously, Randy Orton's now on SmackDown, CM Punk potentially in the mix with Roman Reigns at some point as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of new moving parts on this road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it feels a bit reminiscent of just a few weeks ago when the story about MJF's AEW title reign was that there's so many people gunning for him. They could be doing a similar thing with Roman, I guess. If AJ was to feud with Roman, I imagine maybe it would be a TV feud to tide us over until the Royal Rumble.
Something between now and the Rumble.
They could even have a match at the Royal Rumble. I don't think anybody would be opposed to that. But I don't know if AJ, like you say, the landscape has changed. It might have nudged Styles, as amazing as he is, it might have nudged him a little bit down the pecking order.
Possibly. We'll see what happens. All looking like, according to the Wrestling Observer, that AJ Styles will return on Friday. One to watch, as is our documentary as part of Docember, WWE's Golden Age Part 1. A phenomenal tour de force.
Oh, they've all done really well, all the guys who worked on Sam Driver, Justin Henry, and Matthew Stewart. Big shout out to them.
Massive congratulations to you guys. Also, a brand new Weirdest Shows Ever.
Yes, there's going to be one coming out very shortly. There's one, this is very soon after the latest one on the channel because CM Punk came back, so I wanted to do one with Punk in. That's literally the reason. But it is a weird episode, so do look out for that. I'm not sure of the exact date that it's going out, but it should be fairly soon.
But the big question is, are you twitching tonight?
Oh, God. Yeah. No, right. So last week, me and Owen all optimistically started our new save file. We're managing South Shields FC.
Oh, nice.
A local club. We made some moves in the transfer market, got some new players in, started the season, and we've played 2 games, and we've lost both of those games. So I'm not. We can right this ship. We can do it.
You can do it. Up the Mariners.
Up the Mariners. How did you know that?
I know all things, mate.
Wow.
Up the Mariners. Hey, twitch.tv/Cultaholic to keep up with South Shields FC with Jack and with Owen later on. And for the latest wrestling news throughout the day, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.